Good evening, everyone. Ooh, sorry about that. Oh, I'm sorry. I am trying to do too many things at once. So please give me a little grace tonight. I hope that everybody's doing well. Y'all know how we do. Put it in the chat where you're coming from. And now I have to kind of go back all over again and do all the things for my IG live people. So bear with me. I will be getting started very soon. Give me a minute. Give me a minute, Facebook. Thank you for the grace. All right. I hope everybody's having a good evening tonight. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me how your day is going. I hope everybody had a wonderful, magnificent, beautiful day today. And I am glad to have everyone here. So go ahead and put in the chat where you're tuning in from. And when you see me looking up and down, as you know, I'm on both Facebook and Instagram. So I've got to give my little eye contact to both. But I hope that everybody's doing all right. Hey, Sister Val, I see you. Hello there. Good to have you. And if you all can do me a favor as you're joining, first of all, put where you're joining in from, but also share it. Share this live with on your page or with your network. And I hope to get this information out and that it'll be useful to everyone. So good evening. As you all know, I am Reverend Benita Weathers. I am hosting Mind the Mental Mondays, and I'm so happy to be able to share with everyone tonight. I want to talk about a topic tonight that is very sort of dear to my heart in a way, or maybe not. I have to think about that. But I'm going to be talking about transparency. And I don't know about you, but for me, transparency is not always an easy thing to be. And we know that transparency is like a state of being. It's being able to, first of all, be honest with yourself about kind of like where you are in life and in different stages. And it's also, once you're honest with yourself, sometimes you need a safe space to be able to get it out of you, whatever it is that you might be going through and that you might be facing. And sometimes it's really hard because depending on what we might be going through, we might feel guilty about whatever it is. There might be some shame associated with whatever it is that we might be going through. Very often we might feel like we're alone in whatever it is that we're going through. But when I tell you that, I guarantee you that no matter what it is that you might be facing, there's somebody in this earth who is facing a very similar situation. And so, the need for us to not feel alone is one of the reasons that I titled this talk tonight, the role of transparency in minding the mental. I don't know about for you, but for me, it has been really it can be a difficult journey in trying to open up, or even feeling like there's there's people that you can really trust to open up to. And a few years ago, as many of you already know, God sort of put it in my spirit to write a book called The Scream Within: Mental Health and Clergy Marriages, Journey of a Pastor's Spouse, which talks about my journey as the spouse of a pastor who is at war with clinical depression. And in that book, I am being the most transparent and the most vulnerable, probably, that I have ever been. And, this Mind the Mental Mondays, I started this platform as a way in particular for people who are caregivers or loved ones of people with depression to have a space that they could come and feel like they're seen. Because I see you as one who is the loved one of not only my husband, but of two of my children who also battle depression. I understand what that can do to those of us who are caregivers and loved ones of people who battle depression. And sometimes their depression can also affect us, right? It can really impact, it can impact us. And so while I have been very transparent about my role as the spouse and mother of people that I love who have, dealt with depression, what I'm going to be transparent about tonight is that earlier, just a couple of hours ago, a few hours ago now, I had my first therapy session. Well, it's not really my first. Okay, let me clarify that. I actually went to therapy a couple of years ago, but it just didn't work, right? It was therapy is one of those things where you really have to gel. You kind of have to fit with the therapist. And the therapist that I went to a few years ago was nice enough, but she did all the talking, and that was problematic for me. I said I thought I was supposed to be the one coming to get out what I need to get out. But I very often I talk about the need to check on the strong people, the people that are strong, and who are the ones that you go to all the time when you need something, when you need just a shoulder to cry on. You are likely not the only one going to that person. There's lots of people who are going to that person, and those strong people need someone to check on them too. So I am at a place, and interestingly, this is not something that is scripted. I was just telling my team members that it was like the Holy Spirit just spoke to me and said to come on here and be transparent. Not only talk about the importance of transparency and minding the mental, but to be transparent with people. And so I am one of those strong people that, a lot of people come to. And my sister in particular used to always say to me, you're always there for, hearing people cry on your shoulder or whatever, but where do you go? What do you do? For me, I would pray, but as a minister and as a mental health advocate, I want to say that there's nothing wrong with praying about the right therapist to see. I am team Jesus and team therapist. And while I have been promoting that message for the last few years, and while I have been pounding the pavement and doing all that I can to go to churches and tell people, hey, if you need to see a therapist, see one, I wasn't really seeing one myself when I knew I needed to. And I'm at a place right now where um, I'm just at a very interesting crossroads in life. And I'm just at a place where there's so much more that I want to do with my life. There's other things that I want to be able to do. Like I love to be able to just talk about this and go places, encourage people. I love to be able to just do this all the time, but I'm at a place where right now it appears that I'm not really able to do that because I still have to work my day job for now. But I'm just at a place where I've just been unfulfilled there, where I'm ready to just do something new and different and exciting with my life. I'm also at a place where I understand and realize that there's some things in some baggage that I have brought along from my childhood that I didn't realize I hadn't really dealt with. And that I'm realizing that at December 14th, I will be 55. And it's some stuff I've been carrying with me for, like at least 45 years that I just know that I need to purge. And so the reason that I'm saying that transparency is a part of minding the mental is that when you don't allow yourself space to purge some of those things that you're going through, some of those things that you're thinking about, some of those things that wear on you internally, it puts you almost like in a cage. You almost feel like you're just caged in with nowhere to go. And you're constantly trying to just pull the bars of the cage open and feeling like you don't necessarily always have the strength to do that. So I've gotten to a place where I'm able to actually say out loud that I'm not always the strong person. I'm not always strong. There are times that I need to cry. There are times that, there's things that's going on inside of me that I need to sort of be able to purge, not only to God, who is my help, who is my strength, who is my keeper. That certainly does not take away from who God is to me. But there are times where I need to just be able to, with another person, purge things with somebody that doesn't really know me like that. Does that make sense? Doesn't necessarily really know me all that closely. And then I can feel like safe to purge with. Because as I said in The Scream Within, that my purpose for writing that book was so that the scream within would become the scream without, without shame, without condemnation, right? Without fear. And how can I write about the scream within becoming the scream without if I am not willing to, on some level, be transparent and vulnerable enough to let people know that I'm writing from a true place, that I'm writing from the place of someone who has been strong, strong my entire life. But to be able to be transparent and admit that there are times that I'm not. There are times that I'm not strong. And when you find yourself getting to a place where you're drained all the time, when your level of procrastination gets to an all-time high, like in the last few months, this has really been going on with me. Like my level of procrastination has been I've always been a bit of a procrastinator. And that has always in the past, I've been able to, I'm usually the kind of person that I tend to work better, like almost when my back is against the wall and it's like, I've got to hurry up and get something done. It's like, I get focused, right? But now it's at a point where it's like dangerous. Like I'm at a point where it's dangerously like close to missing deadlines or even missing deadlines, like at work or for other things that I need to do with business and so forth. So being transparent and saying things like that out loud, saying out loud, hey, I know I seem to be strong all the time, but I'm not. Saying out loud, I have gotten to a place where it's like, I know I need help. Like I need someone else who is trained to help me navigate the waters of some things that's happening internally. And to not be ashamed of that. Like to be able to say that out loud, to say that to you. And some of you I know very well, and others of you I don't know. Many of you don't know me personally, but even to just be able to say out loud, I need help, and be okay with that. To be able to scream out loud, help, I need help, and be okay with that. It just puts you at another place. Hey, LS, I see you. It just puts you at a place of freedom. And just to be able to kind of slowly but surely pull back the bars of the cage that you have that you maybe have put your own self in order to get ready to take those steps to get out, to climb out of that cage and be okay with who you are, and be okay that you are in a place, but that you are not about to stay there. Yeah, we all get to a place sometimes where it's like we really are down or just need to, it's like we feel like we need a way out. And for some people, that way out, if they don't, if you're not transparent and you're not able to say out loud, I need help, if you're not able to intentionally go someplace to get that help, if you're not able to intentionally cultivate a village that will wrap their arms around you and say, hey, sis, hey, bruh, I'm here to help you. I'm here to be that listening ear. I'm here to be that shoulder that you can lean on. You know, for some people, that out is to be out of this world. So, it's really important to just, tap into those strong people and say, hey, are you all right? Because everybody expects you to be all right. And sometimes you're not all right. All right. So transparency, Transparent, it means I have a few definitions I just want to go over with you. So to be transparent, transparency is fine or sharing enough to be seen through. So I could see through that tough image. I could see through that, I'm a strong Black woman image that we feel like we have to keep up. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke at a retreat about taking off the masks and about peeling off the masks, and how so often we, particularly women, particularly Black women, but all women, are layered, have layers of masks. And there was one of my favorite TV shows, The Twilight Zone. There was an episode where these people put on these masks, and when they took the mask off, their faces had contorted to the mask. So we get so used to wearing those masks that it gets to a place where our faces actually contort to the mask, right? And so the mask could be smiling all the time, when behind the smile are tears. Tears, because while people view you as strong, you feel like if they see you cry, that you're wimping out somehow, right? That you're not living up to the standard of what you, in your mind, you're expected to be. And sometimes, many times, those expectations really aren't put on us by other people. Many times, those expectations are put on us by our own selves. And so being transparent allows us to be seen through. And when people can see through you, that can be a hard place to be. It's free from pretense or deceit. Sometimes we are lying to ourselves. Sometimes we're not even transparent with our own selves, which is where it starts. We can't even be honest with our own selves about where we are. And when we're unable to be transparent even with our own selves, how in the world can we expect to say out loud and be transparent and be vulnerable when we really need help? It means easily detected or seen through, readily understood. Sometimes when you're transparent, it's not readily understood. Sometimes you don't even readily understand your own self. And that can be a hard place to be. But when you're in a place where you don't even fully understand yourself, what you're going through or what you're feeling, that is when you need to admit to yourself that this is beyond me, right? The prayers, I need someone tangible who I can speak with, who can really help me process what's happening and where it's coming from and what the root of it is. Because we all know that what happens when a weed is growing, and sometimes the weeds are pretty, right? Pretty weeds, right? Not pretty wings. We're not talking about Maxwell. But sometimes there are pretty weeds, right? But weeds, as they grow, choke out the nutrients from the other life, grass or flowers or whatever, that should be growing. Weeds, the job of a weed is to just literally choke out the life of the plant or the tree that is growing, that is intended to at some point bear fruit. And so when you're not transparent, and when you're screaming within and the scream remains within, it's just like a weed growing up inside of you that is choking the nutrients and the life out of you. And in order to stop the progress of a weed, you have to pull it up by the root. It's not enough just to kind of clip the head of the weed. Even if you get close to the ground and just clip it, it's not enough to just put the lawnmower over it. Because what happens before the next time it's time for the grass to get cut, the weeds are going to grow back. And so the only way to get rid of the thing that is sucking the life out of you is to uproot it, to pull it out by the root. And sometimes the only way to get to the root of the weed that's growing up inside of you is through therapy, is through talking through all of those layers of masks, and just one layer at a time, pulling it off, exposing the wound, because you can't just keep a wound covered. At some point, you got to rip the Band-Aid off. Some point, the wound needs to get air in order for it to heal. At some point, you just have to open it up and expose it to the ointment, the antibiotic that it needs to kill the bacteria. And so the reason that transparency is so important is that transparency is the start of pulling up the weed by the root. It's just the start. It's just the start. And so what it does is, once you are able to get out, whether it's to talk out or to write out, those things that keep you sort of mentally in bondage, that thing that sort of holds you hostage because maybe there's shame attached to it. Maybe you're thinking that nobody else is going through this. Maybe you're thinking that I'm going through this, I'm just all alone. Maybe you're thinking that you're going to be condemned because of how you're thinking, or because of maybe even something that you've done that might have happened in your past. Transparency allows you to, it's something different when you speak a thing out loud. Those things that you're holding hostage, that's in your mind, that's just holding you hostage, holding you in that cage, you will find that once you are able to actually say it out loud, that the bar kind of opens just a little bit. And the more you're able to say it out loud, the more you're able to speak it out loud, the more you're able to see, hey, I'm not alone. The more people will start to come to you and say, I'm going through this too. You're going through that too? I thought it was just me. No, sis, no, brother, it's not just you. No. You're not alone. You're not alone. And so transparency is the beginning stage of opening up the cage. It's the beginning stage of ripping out the weed by the root. It's the beginning stage of getting through, getting out whatever it is that is holding you bound. And there's one thing I noticed that came to me earlier today. If you're working in Word, there's a feature in Word that allows you to not just find something, but once you find it, it allows you to replace it. And so if there's a word that I found that's throughout the document that, no, that's not what I meant. I really want to make that, I want to change that. I want you to find this word, but I want you to replace it with another word. Find and replace doesn't only work in Word, because what transparency does is allows you to find those things at the root that is causing you to want to hide, that is causing you to want to shrink, that is causing you to feel just emotionally tired and bound all the time. Once you find the cause of that, it's not enough just to find it. It's not enough just to even speak it. You have to then do the work of replacing it with something that will sustain you, with something that will allow you to flourish, with something that will allow you to be the best version of yourself that you can be. But transparency is where it starts. And I know that, and particularly in our African-American culture, I know that we have grown up with this notion of, oh, don't nobody need to know all your business. Oh, you don't need to tell everybody that. I know Jada Pinkett Smith is going through all of that, of lots of people saying, you just need to be quiet. You just don't need to tell your story. You just don't need to say anything. But that kind of silencing our voices is what makes it possible for others to suffer in silence. And as a culture, we need to rid ourselves of that. There's no reason that anybody should have to suffer in silence. Telling your story, being transparent is one way that you're able to help other people to be free, to help other people to know that they're not alone, and to know that there are ways of coping, and there's a way that they can work through the challenges that they find themselves having in their minds. And so let's not condemn people for sharing their story. Let's not condemn people for feeling like if they need to be transparent, and if they're not, because sometimes if they're not transparent, it can lead to them just saying, you know what, I'm just done with life. There are people who have just decided to end it all because they've heard time and time again things like, oh, just pray about it. Oh, nobody needs to know all your business. Oh, don't nobody want to hear all that. Nobody wants to hear what you're going through. Well, when people internalize that, they feel like they have nowhere else to go. So I want to encourage you to be transparent, to be intentional, to find safe spaces where you can be transparent. Now, don't get it twisted. You can't be transparent with just any and everybody, right? But it's important to try to find, even if it's just one person, even if your village is just one other person. Some people don't have a whole village. Some people aren't connected to other people in that way. Some people just don't have it like that. That's a fact. But in those cases, I'm encouraging you to be intentional to try to find at least that one person. And that one person might be a therapist that's not your bestie, that you don't know, because those are the ones that sometimes you can be the most vulnerable with, because they what they don't stand in. First of all, they have to keep it confidential, or else they face losing their license. And unless you just, super famous, you don't have to worry about your story being sold to a tabloid, because ain't no tabloid gonna buy it because you're not famous. So, and so, try to find somebody that you can really just be transparent with and be vulnerable with. So I shared earlier that I had my first like real therapy session. I think I'm gonna hang on to this therapist. The first session went well. The last time I tried it, it just didn't. That first session, I was just like, no, she's talking too much. She not giving me a chance. I can't get a word in edgewise because she doing a whole lot of talking. But this time, it felt a little different. It felt like a better match. So the other thing I wanted to encourage you to do is, if you have tried therapy and it didn't work, like if that therapist just wasn't a good fit, I want you to just be encouraged to keep trying until you find the right fit. Because what is going to happen is that it's that weed is just, it ain't going nowhere. It's just going to keep growing until you get to the root. Yeah, you might call yourself soothing it, by, smoking it out, or, sexing it out, or, eating, whatever it is, that you find yourself doing to try to suppress that weed. But as long as, and for a moment, for a few seconds, you might cut the head of the weed, but that doesn't kill the weed. You got to rip it up by the root. The root has to come out some way, some shape, some form. It has to come out. So I'm encouraging you to find that safe space where you can get that out. And now that I am seeing a therapist, in the coming weeks, who knows? I might end up being able to be more transparent. And that's something that I really kind of desire to do. Now, that's not to say that I'm going to just share all my business, with the whole world, even though I'm not famous, but 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 knowing that there's somebody um that I can be transparent with, about things that I might not feel like I can be transparent with everybody else, is very, very helpful to me. And I really hope that if you got nothing else out of this, that you come away understanding why being able to be transparent and being able to be vulnerable is such an important step in minding the mental. Because as long as it just stays on a loop in your head, and you have no place else for it to go, at some point it is going to suck the very life out of you. And it shouldn't have taken me this long, because for a while I have been at a place where I like wake up tired. Like I'm tired. I'm tired all the time. It's hard for me. It's starting to affect even my performance at work. It's starting to affect me being able to get things done that are important. I mean, really important things. It's starting to affect me in a lot of ways. And I thank God that I finally did. And and I'm at a job where, they're paying for therapy for me for 8 sessions at least. So it was just a point of just calling and finding somebody. But for a long time, I just didn't do it. For a long time, I was like, I've been able to manage this for years. I've been able to be the strong person. I've been able to be the one that everybody can just, lean on and call on and, get stuff out with. I've been managing it for a long time, but it's kind of like, there are people who are drug addicts, but they're functioning drug addicts, right? There are a lot of people out there who are functioning strong people. That means on the surface, they look strong and they seem strong and they seem like they can handle everything and they're functioning. I mean, life is happening. I'm at work and I'm still able to do my job, but not at the level that I need to. Um, and so when you find that you're like, if you are that functioning strong person, it's time to get vulnerable. It's time to peel off that mask. And it's time to let the people in your circle, who tug at you all the time, and who just, it's time to just be honest and just let them know that, yes, I want to still be, I'm still here for you. But in those times where you're not able to be strong, to just be transparent, just be vulnerable, and be able to say to them, hey, I got some stuff I'm going through right now that I'm I'm not able to give you that right now. And you know what? They will love you and they will appreciate you. And if they don't, and they might even say, hey, I can be that ear for you. One of the most helpful things for me that happened in the last couple of weeks, which is why I'm at a place now where I'm ready to really kind of deal with stuff. Because my husband has been telling me for a while that, you know what, you need to get some therapy too. Right. And he's right. He's absolutely right. But a couple of weeks ago, I talked when I spoke at a women's retreat a couple of weeks ago, there was a minister there who, I had just met her for the first time. And after I did my presentation, she pulled me to the side later on and she said, if you need me to be a person that you can take that mask off with, I just want you to know that I'm here. And immediately the tears just started pouring out because she saw me. I was the presenter, right? I'm the one, and I go around and I go to different churches and I present. As you all know, I am a mental health advocate, and I'm always advocating for the destigmatization of mental health care, and particularly in our churches and in our faith spaces, to destigmatize. So I'm usually the one that's up and I'm talking about it, and I'm, rallying everyone to, to do what they need to do to take care of their mental health. And very often people will come up to me afterwards and just say, I'm dealing with, talk about different issues that they might be dealing with. But this is actually the first time that I had somebody to come up after I have given a talk to say, I see you and I'm here for you. And it just really did something for me. And so I hope that in talking about my being transparent, I felt like, I was given this topic of, the need to be transparent, the role of transparency in minding the mental. But in order to really get that topic across, I felt like I needed to be transparent too. I needed to just have a transparent moment. And it has actually been freeing for me to actually be able to say out loud that yes, I am a strong person, but what makes me even stronger is the ability to say when I'm weak, and the ability to not only find, going back to that find and replace, to not only find the weakness, but then to replace it with the strength of standing in my truth, being able to communicate it, and then being able to replace it with freedom, freedom from bondage, freedom from being held hostage to my own thoughts. So that's what I got tonight. If you joined in late and you missed, the beginning of it, you'll be able to catch it on the replay on Facebook Live. And it'll be in my IG feed. It'll be on my YouTube page at Benita Weathers 329. Go subscribe to the YouTube page. See all the previous Mind the Mental Monday. But I hope that in this doing something for me, just by getting it out, that it helps somebody. That's my whole purpose for doing Mind the Mental Monday, is just hoping that it can be like a deep breath for somebody else, that something that is shared here, it will be helpful to somebody else who is tuning in. So thank you for tuning in tonight. Please put in the chat if there's a topic that you are interested in having discussed on Mind the Mental Monday. Please put it in the chat. I have done topics previously of people that were interested in certain topics. And I see Veronica, Dr. Edna is here on IG. She is actually going to be joining me next week. She is a certified grief therapist. I might be saying the wrong, I might be using the wrong terminology. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, Dr. Edna. But she's going to be here next week, and we're going to be talking about loss, ways to help children process loss. So that should be a grief recovery specialist. Thank you. She is a certified grief recovery specialist. And so we're going to be talking about, ways to help children process loss, because children also grieve, and they deal with types of loss that we might not necessarily deal with as adults. So I hope that you all will tune in next Monday. I'm very excited to have her with me. Again, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, I have an event, a free virtual event that is coming up very soon on November 4th, Saturday, November 4th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you go on my my social media, you will see where you can go and register. Please go ahead and register now. Register for the event. I will be reintroducing the Scream Within Mental Health and Clergy Marriages, Journey of a Pastor's Spouse, reintroducing my book. I will be talking about some parts of the book. You will have an opportunity to ask me questions. So if you haven't gotten a copy of it, please go ahead and get a copy of it. You can go to my website, benitaweathers.com, and pick up a copy. And even though the title of it, is Journey of a Pastor's Spouse, and is talking about sort of my life, sort of navigating, being the wife of a pastor who is at war with depression, and you'll see episodes of this where he and I are talking. So this is, near and dear to our hearts. But it's not just for clergy. So really, any and everybody can get something out of the book. because I believe that all of us know somebody who battles depression or anxiety or some other kind of mental health challenge. And it can be helpful, I think, to anybody. All right. So pick up a copy of the book, come to the virtual event. It is free, November 4th, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in the meanwhile, I hope to see you next Monday on Mind the Mental Monday. And I pray that you all have a fabulous week. I hope that this has been helpful. Please share, like, share, comment, engage. Let me know. Just let me know if this content is helpful, because that helps me. And also let me know if there's a criticism of it. Also let me know that, because that just helps me to grow and be better. All right. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Take care and God bless.